Gets open for three. Dagger!
The kick in, here it comes. Swing and a miss! And a World Series Game 7 winning Curly W is in the books.
Washington Capitals are the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. You like that? You like that? I like that.
You gotta like that, right?
My approval ratings keep going up.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Complicated business.
Well, welcome in Defeating the Curse. The streak continues for the show. The weekly pod remains consistent. Stevie, it's good to see you. FP, it's good to see you too. Boys, we are a day early this week. We got Halloween and festivities and all kinds of stuff tomorrow on our normal recording day. Stevie, I'm assuming you're taking the kids out. Are you dressing up? Are you a Halloween guy?
No, come on. I can't be that
you're
guy.
A Halloween guy. I feel like you're I don't want to suggest what costumes I think you would be in, or maybe like not into, but like physically on you. But I think I have a sense of which way you would go for Halloween.
I'll give you a proud dad moment. Is my kid came to me about 2 weeks ago and said, "Dad, I know what I want to be for Halloween." He said, "I want to be Kane, like the Undertaker and Kane." Okay, so about 50 feet away from me is a Kane costume,
like the whole get up with the mask, the whole bit.
A mask. I'm gonna try to get his hair. Like that
ponytail. You stand behind him, and when he does the thing, you
exactly.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Okay,
it's very exciting. I want his brother to be the Undertaker. He didn't want to be the Undertaker.
I mean, that would be pretty cool too. So I'm assuming you take them out, and it's the whole. You teach them like go for the king size candy bars. Doesn't matter what it is.
Well, I actually I split up the kids. They're getting old enough now where they can be with their friends.
Okay.
So I'll be with the little one. I find out who's the biggest troublemaker. You be with that one. I assume you're the same way. Or you keep them all together, probably.
We split up duties on Halloween. I generally don't like the walking around or the exercising component of Halloween, so I will be home with a tub size, like a bathing tub size bucket of king size candy bars. I got to be honest. I like they ring the doorbell and I open the door. I'm not wearing a costume. This is what I look like. But like there is definitely an age cutoff, right? And I usually have two buckets, right? The little ones,
the king size family.
Well, I'm king size, but you have to pass a certain like eyeball test. Okay. If I'm pinning you at, I'm going to try to age you quickly when I open the door.
Sub 13.
If you're 11 or under, 12 or under, or just generally like small in stature, king size bars. If you're older and coming around with the sheet, like the pillowcase thing, I got fun size for you. I got some like, I don't know, some like toiletries that I'll throw at you or something. Like, don't come here. Wrong house for that. Like,
what if you got a good costume?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what if he comes with a really good costume, but he's 15?
I've never been a costume guy. Like my kids, to some extent, are into it, like Turtles or Elsa or whatever. That's fine.
Like he rolls up with the perfect The Rock turtleneck gold chain get up. Like
I do. I am a sucker for that one with the fanny pack.
Yeah,
I would put the candy into the fanny pack if I saw that one. Maybe. Okay. Let me take inventory tomorrow. But the majority, I feel like it's close to 50-50, age appropriate and then age inappropriate. And the parents that come along, I always like to throw them a bone too because they're just walking around. So I always toss them like a Twix or something to chew on while they're walking around.
That's what I would want.
Yeah, if they're open to it. But we get a lot of kids. We get a lot of kids over here, and we're the corner house. So like we make it known that kids are welcome. The hardest part is always the like, how do you signal it's over? Like, stop coming to my house. Like that's always the hard part, right? Because there's always like some group that comes over at like 9, just too late. And I'm like, hey, you ruined a good thing. Like we were gonna end on a high. Now you've totally ruined it. You're waking up my kids. You're ringing the doorbell. Like, get out of here. It's over.
Just put a sign on the door.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that. FP, there's no chance you are going out to an event or anything like that tomorrow, right?
Typically, what I do is turn off all the lights and hide in the man cave in the basement. And it sounds like I'm just like this Grinch that doesn't want to hand out candy, but it's because I have the dog. And if they ring the doorbell every 15 seconds, the dog's just going to go crazy all night. So maybe sometimes there's a bowl of candy out there.
So do you have candy that you pass out, or
the first few years I had a bowl of candy that sat out there?
Okay.
What happened to that bowl of candy? I don't know. I don't know if one kid took it all,
or
if I don't know
if
somebody
did. Physical bowl also, or do they?
Yeah, I go to the Dollar Tree and I get like the orange,
bowl,
pumpkin looking bowl. Those are never there when I come back outside.
Yeah, see, this is what I was afraid of, right? Like that's why I don't like leaving it out because they're gonna take my bowl.
But that's why I go to the dollar store and I get a dollar bowl.
It's the principle. It's the
But
principle.
I don't
If you're
even
old
bother
enough
with
to
that
steal
anymore.
the bowl of candy, you're too old for Halloween. Like that's
Also, when you
where I'm
live in like a townhouse area like I do, there's 780 kids.
Sure.
It's expensive to be that
okay.
house.
Without being the R word, how many of your neighbors will participate in Halloween? Percentage. 50? There's no chance.
Probably. I mean,
see, my neighborhood's close to 100% participation in Halloween. Stevie,
I'm lucky that I'm in a little offset, so it's not as bad. But the deeper neighborhoods, I would say 75%.
Yeah,
there's a lot of young.
Come on. Vienna, 100%. It's the same percentage that in Herndon celebrate Diwali.
We can talk to Peter about that. I mean, Peter
from Herndon. Okay.
Peter is the only one that's not celebrating Diwali in his neighborhood. So
hey.
Yeah, that's sure. Yes. Okay, so tomorrow Halloween, that's why we're here. We can park the Halloween conversation. I guess we'll regroup on wins and losses from Halloween. But let's talk about this game. Stevie, did you watch more than 5 minutes of the Redskins hosting the Eagles in the link?
I did, but I didn't let it affect me in the sense of I scheduled the play dates for the kids. Their friends came over. They were entertained. Everyone's happy.
So jealous of you.
I'm able to sit down, and I did watch the game. There was nothing good on Red Zone, so it was the only good game at 1 o'clock.
Odd week, right? There was no bye weeks, like no bye teams. It's the first time it's happened in a long time. Yeah. This is it was scheduling anomaly. Yeah, first time in 13 years that there was.
These Thursday, Sunday, Monday games suck. They need to flex every game that is being broadcast to a national audience.
I mean, you can imagine that the networks wouldn't go for it, right? Because there's only so many of them. But
Bears Chargers was brutal last night. Raiders Lions tonight is going to suck.
Why are the Raiders always on national TV? Stadium?
I guess so.
I don't know. Like it can't be tied to Garoppolo. Like it was Carr, but like, there's no way. Like I don't know. Maybe the stadium. Who knows? But I think they also like the teams that play like west of Mississippi, right? Because like the broadcast quality is better. Still light out when they show it on the East Coast. Maybe something like that factors in. I don't know.
Then I end up seeing Baker Mayfield and the Bucks all the time. Why?
Yo, listen. I didn't want to get Travis Kelce's on every commercial. His face appears during every commercial break of every game. He is the new Baker Mayfield. Baker a couple seasons ago was selling us car insurance, cookies. But what else was he selling? But GoDaddy internet. He was selling everything, and now you got Kelce. I'm so done with the Kelce. And we watched some of the Broncos game here. I know we'll pivot back to the Commanders here in a second, but we watched a lot of the Broncos game at my house yesterday. Did you happen to catch the Broncos fans serenading the Chiefs with Tay-Tay songs?
Yeah, at the whole stadium played it after the win.
Fabulous. It was fabulous.
They played Shake It Off after the win.
Yes. It was their quarterback I think threw for 99 yards and 3 touchdowns and somehow still is poop on fire. But anyway, going back to this game, Eagles come in. I mean, they leave with a victory. This is the second time now that the Commanders, they won't see the Eagles again this season unless somehow by some miracle they make it to the playoffs. But let's park that conversation. So they go 0-2 on the season. The Commanders do against the Eagles. They could have beaten them in both games. They had leads to open both games. They looked good offensively in both games. The defense, I mean, just super leaky. And Sam Howell, this is my one big takeaway. Sam Howell statistically, and I know like the week is officially not over because we have one more game here tonight on Monday night. He had the best statistical game of any quarterback in the league yesterday, and they still couldn't get a win. Like, if that's not enough of an indictment on how poor this defense is playing, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, you've got a guy who's basically a rookie leading the league statistically yesterday. One of the best games he's played from end to end. I know he had that one interception, but he looked good. Offensive line looked better, and I know FP wanted to talk about this. Some of those subs made meaningful impact on the quality of the unit. But like, you have a lead going into halftime for the second time facing this team, arguably one of the better teams, not just in your division, but in the conference and certainly in the league. I mean, they're still in my top 5, and I'm sure they're in yours as well. if you're not going to win that game, you really have no business winning pretty much any other game, especially considering how good the offense looked at times. The defense just cannot stop anyone. I know tomorrow's the trade deadline. I would be shocked if Ron, the GM, actually makes any moves, but it at least merits a conversation. Like, is there anyone on the defensive side of the ball that you would fight to keep here? I guess that's where I'm going, FP.
Ron, the GM, better have no decision-making power for this team. He's in a lame duck presidency. Like, don't put any laws into effect. You're leaving. We don't want you to have any say on the future of this franchise. Harris should step in and prevent Ron from trading away assets and pieces or whatever and kind of screwing over the future. And I don't think Ron would do it intentionally. Ron is truly just a terrible, terrible talent evaluator. Terrible with free agent signings, terrible with evaluating his own talent, his own team,
Let's look at the offensive line.
roster.
Let's talk about the offensive line yesterday.
Absolutely unacceptable. And this is the fourth year in a row where you have the more skilled, the better fit hidden in the depth of your roster. And then suddenly,
who
5 to 6 weeks later,
not Ron.
Who, FP?
What? First, tell me what the Martys do. Clearly, they do nothing. So why are we even paying them to be fake GMs?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't like everything that happens from Ron. Like for years, Ron was trying to build a good team first, find his QB, and then now 4 years later, you have the QB that's carrying the team, and all the holes that should have been filled are still not filled, and somehow miraculously
they're actually bigger. They're bigger. The holes are actually bigger.
Yeah, right? He's made the team worse, and your quote unquote best players are the guys that were here before he got here.
Yeah, Stevie. There's a question here, Stevie. With who do you want making decisions? And I agree with FP. You can't. Ron can't be the one allowed to make. Like, I know he has the authority to, based on the org chart today, to make trades. The ownership can't let him do that because
Josh Harris has been in the league for 5 minutes.
I understand. I'm saying, but he shouldn't allow Ron to think. Like, there's actual talent on the roster, and until you replace the coaches, I don't think you can just. What are you going to get for Chase? A fifth round pick, a compensatory fourth? You're going to get that anyway if you lose it free agency.
Right before we went on air, Leonard Williams gets traded for a second and a fifth. You're going to tell me Chase Young's not worth a second and a fourth?
There's a second and a fifth.
We agree that happens.
Okay.
What we're saying is Ron is incapable of getting the correct value for the player. Ron will be like, all right, sure, take it for a 1/3. Sure, 2/4 and a whatever. Like,
I see it the opposite. I see Ron is not willing to make those trades, not to give up current assets for future assets, in the sense of he knows he's got 8, 9, I don't know, however many games left in the season.
Yeah.
But he's not going to, what's he going to do with a second round pick that he knows he's not going to be making in 6 months?
I agree.
I think Ron lives in Delulu land, and I think he thinks he's still auditioning to get re-upped. I truly don't think Ron knows what's going on in the world.
I think he's got enough, even if he's not listening to the media himself, which we know that they do. I think there's enough people around him that are looking at him saying, like, it's gonna, unless he's got another. The only way he's
the same people looking at the replay video during games.
Well,
listen, if they don't make any trades, it's because Josh Harris didn't get involved and tell Ron to get anything he can for the assets currently on the roster.
If you're the GM and people are calling for some of these pieces, are you making trades or are you holding firm?
Holding firm for what?
I'm asking, like, if you're the guy, and let's just hypothetically they're offering reasonable value. Let's not define reasonable value, but reasonable value for Montez or for Chase or for Jonathan Allen or for Cam Curl. Like, if you're getting reasonable value for pieces, are you taking it or are you holding on to what you have?
I think 100% they need to pick one of the defensive ends.
I'm asking you, are you taking deals?
Yes, on one of the defensive ends, not on both.
Okay.
You've invested too much. You're going to invest in one of them and say, that's our guy. We've seen enough in him.
Okay.
I assume it's Chase Young at this point.
There's a problem with that, though. If you trade away Tez, you're banking that Chase, when the time comes, is like, yes, I want to stay here. I don't think he does. I don't think he. I think
franchise once, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
he's a local.
He's not going to give you a hometown discount. Nothing about Chase says that he's going to give you a hometown discount and he wants to stay here. Jonathan Allen is like, I'm from here. I'm going to retire here, and he's all about it. But if you trade away Tez, there's a very good chance you lose both of your elite.
I think you can find another. I think you can find another. You can find another Chase, right? Based on current production, I think it's easier to find another Chase or even another Montez than it is to find another Payne or an Allen. That's my read on it.
Guys, a second round pick gets you a franchise left tackle.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, I would entertain these deals, but I am. It's hard for me.
Unless you're Ron Rivera and you get
forget about
a quarterback that can't do anything or a defensive tackle that can't do anything.
I agree.
No, I'm saying a second round pick in theory, but you don't know who the next coach is going to be. You don't know who the next GM is going to be. Maybe they're just as bad as Ron.
Sure, but what I do know is yesterday against the team that they were not supposed to beat, they again had a lead and were in a position to win the game before, the defense again fell apart. Like, just look at the statistics from yesterday's game, from the Eagles-Commanders game on Sunday. The Commanders outgained them total yards, 472 to 374. They outpassed them, 388 to 315. They outrushed them, 84 to 59. Yards per play, 6.8 to 6.0. First downs, 26 to 21. Time of possession also in the Commanders' favor. So, like, from a game script, like, this was the best you could ask for from this unit. They can't stop anyone. And in reality, like, this is a little bit of revisionist history, but if you go back, if the Eagles don't fumble inside the red zone twice, right?
Yeah, they could have dropped to 50.
It's a 50 point. It's a 50-point outburst, right? So the defense. I don't know why all of a sudden Forbes found the field again. Like, for weeks he didn't play, and then all of a sudden he's back in there. I don't know if there's something that they're trying to teach him. But did you guys catch Darryl Green after the game yesterday too, saying, like, I could fix him in like 15 minutes? Yeah. Like, I'm not buying the 15 minutes thing. Like, Darryl's been out of the league for 20 years, so I think some things have changed in the league since he was playing corner. But I do respect his eyeball, and I respect his position and his stature within the organization. And for him to say something like that, because he's usually captain optimist and he never says anything negative about anything, but he sees something clearly that is just wrong or afoot, like something is just amiss. I found that to be very interesting. But offensively, you couldn't have asked for a better performance. And I hate to do this, but our guy Terry dropping a ball the way he did. I know we can talk about the failed challenge on the Eagles not catch, and then I think the league got involved and said, hey, that wasn't a first down. Like, there was something wrong with that catch, that whole sequence of efforts, if you will. It's third and whatever, fourth and whatever. The ball is caught. The line, like the line judge moves over. They flip the sign. It's first down, whatever. Then there's an awkward pause, right? I think it was Slay that stayed down. Yep. Then all of a sudden we go to commercial. We come back. Ron's got his his stoic arms crossed on the sideline, not doing anything. I don't know what you guys make of that, but it just seemed like something was off. It seemed odd that he wouldn't challenge in that spot. Just like a series or two before, he didn't challenge.
I'm tired of the refs talk. I'm sorry. I've been a Redskins
can you explain it to me? How does it go from first down to fourth? How does that happen?
I explain it. The refs make shitty calls. That's just how. That's
listen.
How
you want. Do you want my conspiracy theory? You want my conspiracy theory?
I mean, I'm curious, but okay, let's hear it.
I think
Michelle Obama.
No. First of all, his name is Mike. But the betting line for Redskins Eagles, it was the largest. I'm just saying. It was.
I know where you're going, FP. It was odd that they just flip it. They don't offer an explanation, and then Ron just.
They had to correct course.
I'm just annoyed with not accepting everything.
Listen, I'm with Steve. I don't care about the refs.
Okay.
I care about earlier when Ron doesn't challenge the Smith catch.
Drop. Yeah, it wasn't a catch.
The no catch.
If nothing else,
if you see the Eagles,
they're rushing. They're rushing to the line, Ron.
Even if you're wrong, just be like, I'm gonna throw the flag.
What game is he watching on this? Like, even if you don't know, while you're waiting for your third video assistant to watch Why isn't someone just walking around on the sideline with an iPad in their hand, watching YouTube TV, right, of the game, so they can see all the replays and hold it up in front of Ron's face and be like, "Hey,
Well,
coach,
I mean,
maybe
tho-
take a look at
guys,
TV
those
angles."
are all blocked when you're in stadium. You're not allowed to watch those.
The forest for the trees. The forest for the trees here. And what I saw yesterday was, again, a team that has quit on their coach. And I'll tell you why you see that.
Coach.
I see it. They've quit on the coaching staff in the sense of when you have 1 week in offense playing great, defense plays poorly. Then the following week you have a defense, or the previous week you have a defense play great, offense can't score anything. What that tells you is that every unit is essentially playing for themselves at this point.
The defense
and every guy,
great.
Well, we hear that every week from Jonathan Allen. He says, "I'm just worried about they actually say it indirectly. Or directly every week during their media takes, right?
They're sick of it. They say they're sick of it.
We're just focused on our unit. I'm just making sure that he never talks about the defense at large, right? He's always talking about the D line, the defense. Like
there's no cohesiveness. There's no, I got the offense's back. They got our back. They had some struggles. We picked them up. There's none of that. The locker room is gone. Now it's every man for himself. So Eric Bieniemy did call a great game and had a great game plan. It's because Eric Bieniemy wants to put a great game plan for Eric Bieniemy. And Sam Howell had a great game. Sam Howell needs to prove himself. And now everyone's playing for themselves at this point. There's no team camaraderie.
I don't
believe
that necessarily. I believe everybody is still working together as a team trying to win, but then they get so deflated when their head coach is just inept, just does nothing to help the team game time.
That's why I'm opposed to trading players tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. So even Dotson,
coach,
even Dotson today says Dotson today said that I don't know what happens, but the team flinches. We get this lead, we're playing great, and then we flinch, and then it unravels. That flinch, that's what you need the head coach there to make sure it stays together, right? To make sure that everybody is still firing on all cylinders.
Ron
can't do that.
Culture guy, I do give him some credit for the early seasons here. It was like turmoil to the max, if you remember, right? Like there was a lot of things that he was dealing with. But now that we're past those things and we're just on to football, he's really, like, for a defensive-minded head coach or defensive-minded coach in general, he's not very good. Like he's just that's the end of it. Like there is nothing more to say about his performance.
Even if he wanted to challenge,
it was two challengeable plays on the stretch yesterday. That if they challenge, even if they get one or the other, the game has a different outcome. The Eagles don't get the first, or the Commanders do get the first. Like both of them have positive outcomes. He didn't I don't know what he's saving these timeouts for. I don't know what he's doing. Like I just
I wouldn't mind Gibbs 3.0.
Oh, get out of here.
I mean, he'll run Brian Robinson literally until the wheels come off. He would run him like he was Clinton Portis 06. He would run him so hard.
I mean, I make the joke, and I never want to see Joe Gibbs on a Redskin sideline again. But like my previous point, you look at what the team did in 05 and 07 in that playoff run with Clinton Portis, with the press conferences and the 5 straight 100-yard games and the defense playing, and they got to that NFC East title. That was a team, and then, of course, in 07, playing for Sean Taylor, in the memory of Sean Taylor. How Gibbs brought that locker room together and said, we're going to win it for him kind of thing. That is a team that was playing.
And he called 2 timeouts in a row.
That's my point, though, is he wasn't the best coach ever, but he kept that team together through a lot of hardships.
Yeah.
I will say this.
Every player was super smart, if I remember.
I will comfortably say this. After the Zorn experiment, the Spurrier failure, Ron is third worst coach in at least the last 30 years.
Third worst. Who's the rest of the panel? You're saying Jay was better?
Jay was better.
Shanny was better.
5 days of Bill Callahan was better. Ron is he's not a coach. He's just a mascot at this point. He just stands on the sideline.
Where's the bingo
he
guy?
Doesn't do coaching.
Yeah, we got to vote for Gibbs 3.0.
You start throwing around Gibbs, you're gonna get some people from the rafters coming in.
Is Joe Bugle still around? Somebody get Bugs on.
Get Jacoby. Where's Jeff Saturday these days? Right? If we're just gonna throw out names, yeah, fine. Like I
bring in Daryl Green, make him your defensive coordinator. I don't care.
I mean, I'm not a fan of Bieniemy taking the reins of the team. I think you're setting him up for failure too. And I think
Who cares if he sets up?
no, I think you need him here for. I think you need him here for another year. I think you're evaluating Bieniemy over 2 years, not over 7 games. I just don't.
That's a hard one to pass because if a new GM comes in,
you're gonna have that's gonna be a difficult position for him to be in. But I believe he signed here knowing that the lead, like Ron, is likely not coming back. So it's like if the offense plays the way they did yesterday for half of the games remaining on the schedule, I think he can make a reasonable claim to at least be interviewed for the head coaching job, right? And that's the knock on Bieniemy. He's interviewed 100 times. He's never been the guy.
We had this conversation 1 or 2 weeks ago. Would this team not function better immediately if he was the interim head coach as of right now?
I don't think so, because I think
you don't think Bieniemy would have challenged or been quicker
with
reviews or timeouts?
I believe Ron, the coach, is deficient in many things, but as the leader of a locker room, I think he still has, when he steps in the room, I think the guys are still listening. I agree with Stevie to a lesser extent. Maybe they're not playing for him necessarily, but he's still an authority figure. And he's
have you watched a Bieniemy presser? He is very likable. I can't see any offensive player that looks at him and they're like, man,
some failed shots at the team too, which I honestly I don't mind. But yesterday the offense, like, I don't really have a negative to point out from on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe Howell's one pick, but he completed 40 passes basically for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
I mean, Howell gets a pass for sure.
He not just a pass. I think he played. This is the second time he's faced the Eagles, a top caliber defense, and he performed. He performed and played well.
I can't believe we're sitting here for 30 minutes and we have a franchise quarterback. How crazy is it? We've been waiting for a franchise quarterback.
First lives, baby.
20 years.
Yeah, and everything else falls apart. Everything else.
Yeah, last year, a new owner and a franchise quarterback, and we have both of those, and the team is
halfway through that game. Your boy Joey Sly, he can kick a 90-yard field goal. I will never cheer for him again. He could kick it 90 yards. I don't care.
The man made a 61-yard field goal, but the week before he whiffed on a 25.
I can't. It's another Ron game. Like,
or a
when Ron leaves, that's the other piece here, FP. When Ron is thrown out or leaves the building, half of the coaching staff is gone with him. The training staff,
all of them better be gone.
All of the Carolina Panthers that came to DC are all gone with him. I don't think you can afford to do that midseason. That's why I personally think he will be here the rest of the way, because you're not going to lose all of these pieces all at one shot, because they're all lame duck at that point.
I truly don't think any of them do anything. I truly think the Washington Commanders have guys going on the field, essentially playing backyard football with Bieniemy calling plays and JDR saying something in the mic and everyone saying F you and just doing their own version of defense. I truly don't think the coaches do anything. Come practice, if you watch any of the social media accounts or anything, there's no real practice. There's no coaching up. They just go through drills where they're just getting halfway hit with pass.
The problem with all this is going to make another offseason of utter chaos when you're going to get a coaching staff entirely obliterated. And now you have a new owner looking for a GM and a coach. A lot of the coaches, the great coaches on the market, are going to probably want GM power. You're not going to want to do that again. This will just be another year of drama. Now you bring in a new coach, and it's not a Sam Howell guy. Sam Howell's not their guy. I mean, it's just another year of instability. And what are we going to go? Resurrect another dinosaur? Or is a young candidate really going to come here?
Yeah, I don't think they can afford to do that. I think they've seen too many young candidates walk out of the building that they're going to have to find one. I think they owe it to the fan base to, like, swing and miss on a young guy is more tolerable, I believe, to the fan base than another retread, another, Peterson, Rivera, whatever.
Imagine. I know Lions are playing tonight. Imagine the offensive coordinator, I think Ben Johnson for the Lions versus Bill Belichick. The balls on Josh Harris to pass up on a Belichick and take
Belichick. There was
Belichick got re-upped.
Yeah,
they
Belichick they extended him, but there was talk for like 5 minutes here about would you want to bring him to town, and everybody's like no. Like I think the team the fans understand that whoever comes in next, like they need to be like there's only one Belichick, and I think it's gonna be very hard for him to replicate the success he's had in New England anywhere.
Ben Johnson, Lou Anarumo or whatever, the DC for the Bengals. Those are my two options.
I would also be looking at
ideally you bring in your DC head coach, Lou. He takes over and fixes the defensive side of the ball, and then you keep Bieniemy for that extra year, like you were saying, and then you get the consistency with Howell and that offense.
I don't know what Bieniemy thinks is going to happen, because if you came here thinking Ron's going to be here for two, Ron's only going to be here for one anyway. But if you're thinking the team was going to be successful and he stays, then you're almost guaranteed again that a second cut, a second season as the offensive coordinator. If Ron is gone and he's got to interview for the job, I don't think it's a guarantee he gets it, unless the team just plays lights out football the way they did yesterday.
I feel like Bieniemy knows all he needs is to prove that he can take an offense, get them to score points without Andy Reid's shadow.
Okay, but
has he done that so far?
I don't think so. I actually disagree.
Last year, we would have begged for 20 points out of this offense. This year, 5 out of the 8 games, you have 20 points. 3 out of the other whatever, you have 30 points. Like the offense is putting up points.
I don't know, but I don't know if it's a resounding like emphatic yes from Bieniemy's perspective. I think they've also looked stale at times. They've looked sluggish at times.
But I think he understands. I don't think he's thinking he's head coach material right now. I think he's out to prove it. He can do it without Andy Reid. So I think another year offensive coordinator, that's fine, and then you lose him after that.
Where do you rank this team now? Like I'll tell you,
33rd out of 32.
I mean, I know you were super negative, but I mean, Stevie, do you have a number or a place in mind? I know we're gonna talk
in the middle of every other crappy team.
Well, a lot of the crappy teams won. I mean, the Panthers won, the Patriots won, the Broncos won, the Giants lost in a stinker to the Jets. They maybe they're the new worst team, and the Bears got blown out, right? So the Bears and Giants for me are kind of at the bottom. The Panthers belong there too, but the rest, all of those teams stink, and obviously the Commanders and Patriots will face off on Sunday. Do we realistically think they can win this game?
Well, I was just going to say before you get to Sunday, when you asked me where I rank them, I would ask Josh Harris, where do you rank your team? And I think the next 24 hours will reveal that answer. And I think this is his first major moment as an owner, right? He bought the team and there's a bunch of, pomp and circumstance and all this stuff. And the honeymoon, I imagine, is over. Well, certainly will be over in the next 24 hours.
Yeah.
What do you look at this as a full rebuild? Then you're selling everybody. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think anyone here thinks it's going to happen. Or do you see we have certain pieces in place? Or do you see we need to accumulate as many assets, future assets? The next 24 hours will be very telling in the Josh Harris era.
I agree with
what
you.
Kind of owner
I really hope they don't sell off everything, because I think there are, at least on the offensive side of the ball, they're a couple offensive line pieces away from having a cohesive. And yesterday the substitutes made it work. Like, and that to me is the biggest indictment that Ron has to go, right? He's stubborn to a fault. He's willing to continue to stay the course with the guys that he knows or the guys he's brought in, as opposed to putting the best guys on the field. And that was clearly demonstrated yesterday. So they should beat the Patriots. And if they do, I don't want to talk playoffs, but certainly mathematically everything is still alive. But they needed to beat the Bears. They didn't. They needed to beat the Giants. They didn't. They had the Eagles on the ropes twice. They didn't close out those games. I mean, we could be sitting here talking about a 6-2 or a 6-1 team or whatever it is. We're 3-5, right? But the rest of the NFC is terrible, frankly. And
are they?
Yeah, I think
Cowboys murdered the Rams.
Well, no, leave the top of the NFC. I'm saying
49ers lost 3 in a row.
If you look at the Bears, the Giants, maybe the Saints,
Vikings don't have a quarterback.
The Vikings, like the teams that they would be, the Commanders would be vying against or playing against for that last playoff spot. The Vikings are done. Like I felt terrible for Kirk, obviously an Achilles, second one we've seen now this season on a quarterback.
Seahawks aren't bad.
Huh?
Seahawks aren't bad.
Seahawks are not bad, right? But the Seahawks are, I think, will have a path to that first. Yeah, exactly. Like they'll have a spot. They'll have a claim to one of the not the last spot. I'm sorry, I'm blanking here. The Niners likely win the division. The Seahawks should take that first wild card spot, right?
No,
We
Seahawks are on top of the division.
We shouldn't be in the playoffs.
We should not.
We shouldn't be in the playoffs.
I'm saying they shouldn't sell off everything before evaluating the coaching, because I do think a better coaching staff gets more out of this team.
Also, selling off insinuates there are people that want what we have.
100% they do, because everybody in the league knows we are misusing the players that we have.
Put Emmanuel Forbes in the middle of the NFL free agency.
I think there's
the people that were here before Ron.
Take a 75-pound cornerback, please.
The people that division rivals, the Cowboys and the Eagles would be buyers if the Eagles have one of the leakiest secondaries in the league. If they would kill for a Cam Curl or even a Fuller. They would. The Cowboys, after what they did yesterday, I think they would be looking at pieces like that too and saying, yeah, this will bolster our secondary because we're missing some pieces.
I will drive Benjamin St. Juice to the airport.
St. Juice.
Again, we're talking about the defensive staples that were here before Ron.
Fine. Yeah.
Pick a linebacker. Anyone.
All right, hold on. There's I would like to see Jamin blitz a little bit more, but I can't. No, let's get off of this team.
I want to see all of them off the field.
Let's get off of this team. Okay, that was my bottom 5. I got the Commanders at 29. Like they're just bad. They're just bad defensively, and that's kind of where they belong at this point. I'm more interested in the top 5 because we saw a bunch of teams lose. Eagles for me moved to number 1. The Ravens are climbing way up to number 2. I actually sneaky think they're pretty good. The Dolphins stay up there as well. They got it together in the starting in the second quarter and just blew out the Patriots, although they looked a little leaky on defense. Cowboys moving into 4. Chiefs lost embarrassingly. They go to 5, and we'll see what the Lions do. But that's kind of where my head's at with the teams that I'm looking at. 49ers fall basically out of my top 5. They're in a weird place right now. Purdy all of a sudden looks like a rookie. And some of the magic that he had early on. I mean, McCaffrey's still fine. Debo's still fine. The defense still okay, but you're only as good as your quarterback. And right now that quarterback's not playing very well. But for me, the Eagles, Ravens, and Dolphins are just kind of 1, 2, 3. The Bengals, I think, Stevie, to your point, you've called this out a couple times. When they're on, they're on. And I think for me, they're just outside the 5, but they're looking good. I don't know. You guys see it differently? I know we still got one game to play today, but who's in your top 5?
No, I think the teams that will consistently be in the top 5 have a stout defense and can rely on their defense to carry them through. Every offense is going to struggle, but I think that's where Dallas doesn't have the most consistent offense, but you know what they have the most consistent of? Incredible pass rush with that defense of Micah Parsons. Same thing with the Eagles. The Eagles offense is going to go up and down, but I know, last Sunday notwithstanding that pass rush, I think it's going to be those teams that you look at the teams that are built on offense, Chiefs, Dolphins, they're going to throw some clunkers in there. I think it's about the stout defenses, which the Ravens have, as well as an MVP quarterback in Lamar Jackson.
I would take it a step further. I think it's the teams that can defense. Yes, matters. Yes. But the Eagles do have a average to below average secondary. They give up a lot of big plays. They give up a lot of deep passes,
which can be masked with a good pass rush.
Yes,
yeah, I mean, Commanders are consistently dropping 30 on the Eagles.
I agree.
Not that good of a defense.
But I like teams that can run the ball because I think that becomes more and more important as the weather changes and like just chewing up clock. That's why I like the Eagles. I think DeAndre Swift, he just didn't, I think he can be that guy for them. But that's why, like, sneaky for me, the Dolphins they can kind of do everything. They've got 2 running backs that can chew clock, that can get out in a foot race and kill you. They obviously got Tyreek Hill. Waddle looked better yesterday. Like they're a really well-built team, and they got. I think it was Jalen's first game back. I think Jalen Ramsey's first defensive game for them. He had a pick and a nice return too. So it'll be interesting to see where they are, and especially if they have to travel north into inclement weather. Like obviously that's going to mitigate some of the speed, but they're really good.
You guys are missing on one of the better sneaky good teams in the league right now, and it's the Jaguars, who have a phenomenal defense.
5 straight, I think.
I haven't watched the Jaguars game in 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, they have a phenomenal defense. Trevor Lawrence is playing at a fairly high level.
Howell's playing better.
And ETN is fantastic at running the ball right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're essentially the equivalent of the Niners without the injury
competition.
bug that constantly ruins the Niners.
They also have one of the easier schedules the rest of the way. Like they'll be around, but Trevor, he just doesn't impress me. He doesn't pass the eyeball test for me. I don't know why.
100%. I mean, the Jaguars are doing great. I mean, Doug Peterson, phenomenal coach. I mean, from the top down, that organization somehow, some way, with all their pieces, all their talent, all their elite talent.
Yet another franchise that has rebuilt on the fly.
Absolutely.
Right, retooled on the fly. Okay, well, I mean, we'll see. I got the Lions winning tonight. It was kind of interesting. The line keeps moving on that game. I don't know why, but it looks like everyone's playing on both sides.
Because they had such a big clunker against the Ravens.
But Laporta,
the Ravens are.
It looks like Jimmy G's going to play, so the line is moving around a bit. But yeah, I actually will not be watching probably more than here and there. I may not even do the dual screen for this because I'm all in on the World Series right now. And Stevie, we talked last week going into it. These are not the two teams that MLB wanted. Certainly, I think they wanted Astros, Phillies, right? Star power, offensive, just showcase, blah 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 blah. They get Diamondbacks and Rangers, and it's been game 1 was phenomenal. Game 2, not so phenomenal. A lot of offense, so very one-sided affair. What are you expecting going into 3? And how big of a star is your boy Adolis Garcia going to be? Because holy smokes, man, this guy he's out there like slow and baby bouncy over the plate. It seems like every time he's at bat, he's going to smash it every single time.
Well, that's what makes him a star, is that when he got up in the bottom of the 11th, I think everyone knew he was going to do something special.
Yeah.
And of course, that wouldn't have happened except for Corey Seager first pitch, which actually shout out to the announcer who called it, saying Corey Seager loves to jump that first pitch. Yeah, I mean, playoff baseball shines through whatever teams are out there. So I know the league loves the fan bases for the Astros and the Phillies because they're better fan bases. Rangers and Diamondbacks fans are terrible. That's what I expect tonight, is you will see, the equivalent of a regular season crowd at Citizen Bank Park.
Really? That's sad.
And they're going to get up for, the big moments and down for, but it's not going to be a consistent energy in the building, which is ridiculous because right now the Arizona Diamondbacks are the favorites. Even like, I understand it's 1-1 and they now have home field advantage, but everything in playoff baseball comes down to pitching. And the Arizona Diamondbacks right now have a kid tonight that is pitching, that is a rookie, that has some of the nastiest stuff I've seen all this postseason. Brandon Pfaft. He's got a crazy name, but this kid can throw. And so Merrill Kelly, who was pitching very mediocre all postseason, all of a sudden pitches 1-run ball in game 2. And then you have your superstar, Zach Gallen, pitch game 1 in a loss. But right now you've got these 3 guys pitching lights out. That'll carry you through. And the Rangers just don't have it. I don't know who's actually pitching tonight. I assume it's Max Scherzer, and I don't think he'll get through 4 innings. They don't have the pitching. And if you got to send Max every 4th day, he's not that pitcher now.
He was that guy. Yeah, he was struggling.
Yeah, he's pitching tonight.
Yeah,
he's pitching tonight. If he can get through 4, it's a huge victory for the Rangers. Huge.
I don't know if he's got 4. I don't know if he's got 4. The dog is going bananas over there.
Dog is going crazy.
I don't know. I don't know if he's got 4 in him, Stevie. Like he was.
He's your number 2 pitcher.
Yeah, and they picked him up like 5 minutes ago. So like I don't know where they go, to be honest. But the red, white, and blue like jacket that W wore out to throw the first pitch was amazing. I went immediately online to try to find one. I couldn't find it. Couldn't find it anywhere.
Where are you ever gonna rock that?
When I go to Texas. I don't know. That's my guy. That's my guy. I'm not ashamed to say it. That's my guy.
The only travesty in this is that the Texas Rangers have the best pitcher in the world on the injured reserve. And it really would have been something special to see Jacob deGrom in a World Series. And that I couldn't imagine what the series would look like. So having deGrom every 4th day.
Do you think it's Arizona? What, in 4 and 5, or not in 4? Sorry, in 5 or 6, or do you think?
No, I think it'll be in 6.
Okay.
I think if you can get those 3 guys out, and I think the pitching will overtake them. Right now, Ketel Marte is, he set the record for most consecutive games with a hit, 18 games in the postseason. Right now, the bats are hot, pitching is good, and outside of what Paul Sewald did in giving up that home run to Corey Seager, their bullpen's been good except for game 1. Now you're back to your question of Dallas Garcia.
It's rare. What he's doing is just, everything looks like a baseball team.
He's enough reason for me to tune into the World Series.
At least
because I want to see. I just want to see if the legend keeps growing with him.
Baseball is a very streaky game. Same thing in basketball. You get on a burner and you get on a heater. And we saw it a couple years ago with Randy Arozarena. Like we saw it. Hey, by the way, happy Nats anniversary.
4-year anniversary.
30th. Okay. That's 4 years ago. We saw it with the Nats. We saw it with Soto in 2019, Rendon. Same thing. You get on a heater, that'll carry you through to a World Series.
Well, and psychologically, it impacts the team you're facing as well when they think they can't get an out. Like you're going to crush the ball.
And the Phillies were on that heater. Now, the way the Diamondbacks beat them was they pitched around those guys. That's actually historically been the way to get around Bryce. When Bryce, a very streaky hitter. So when he's really hot, what do? You keep on walking him. Yep. Gets him out of his rhythm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to that tonight. I don't know how much Monday Night Football I'm actually going to watch. Maybe dual screen. I'm hoping for 2 good games. We'll see what happens. FB, I didn't want to bring this up too. We saw, if you haven't seen, I'm going to try to describe gently what happened to a hockey player playing in, professional in actually maybe FB.
Adam Johnson.
Yeah, Stevie, if you like, I know you didn't see it. Don't go watch it.
Nobody watched that video.
It's a very difficult thing to watch, but I don't know what to make of it. Right? Like there was like he was just going about his business. He's a professional hockey player in the UK. He's an American playing hockey in the UK. I'm going to choose to believe it was completely just a freak accident, but he got his neck got opened up by an opposing team's player's skate when he got knocked off his feet. And he passed away. It's a terrible story, and there's nothing positive that will come of it. But I felt like we at least needed to bring it up because, like hockey, like we talk about the fighting in hockey, we talk about the speed of the game. We rarely talk about the safety of the players with regards to the equipment on the ice, and I don't think there's anything you can do to change this. And I don't believe this has ever happened before. It was such a crazy.
There's been a few high-profile neck cut injuries, but they, I believe, had long but miraculous comebacks. I don't think any of them resulted in death.
Yeah,
that the one to Adam Johnson was. I mean, don't watch the video, but it was brutal. It's not easy to watch.
Yeah, and locally here, a couple of the Caps players were asked about it, and they said like we understand how it happened, right? But there's not like what are you gonna like? There's no equipment to protect your neck.
No, I mean there is a neck guard that you can wear. It's not mandatory to be worn right now. I think there's only one like competitive league that makes it mandatory, but the English England's elite ice hockey, that's the league that Adam got hurt in. That one, it's not mandatory. NHL, it's not mandatory. I don't think in college it's mandatory.
It
might become mandatory because
I don't
on the ice, more or less on the ice.
Yeah, I mean it was on the ice. He
major.
Somehow he miraculously he got up. God rest his soul. He got up and tried to skate off, and that was it. Like he bled out. Like I mean that's what happened. So it'll be interesting to see.
It is under investigation in England though. The whole accident, which is. You want to hope that it was just a freak accident, but it
was. I know that. I know. I don't want to throw out names or accusations of any kind. It was. I'm bringing it up because like the league has to look at it now and say, this has happened now, right? It's similar to what happened. Like, inevitably, unfortunately, someone's going to die on an NFL field, and the rules will change because of it.
Right. But I mean, even in hockey, like and it's happened to Wilson like 5 different times. If you launch at a player and your skates leave the ice, you're essentially getting yourself a major penalty, right? There are rules in place to never really put yourself in that situation where your skates are leaving the ice. If you're semi-professional or professional,
you can't have your leg
and you lose balance or whatever, you should know how to take the hit, absorb the hit, fall gracefully, get back up quick. That's part of the game. But for you to be essentially flailing about and you like Jet Li high kick your leg out, that's not supposed to happen. And that's why it's under investigation, because
we've seen similar in soccer too.
Yeah.
Right? Like the high kicks in soccer have basically been outlawed. They've been trained out of the sport over the last 15 years. It's the same thing. Like you can't cleat people in soccer,
Right.
and you can't like, just because you're going down doesn't mean you get to flail around, because too many people are getting hurt, and it becomes a red card offense, or worse, a suspension, or just outright expulsion from the sport. So I bring it up just because it happened and it was extremely unfortunate, but I've never seen anything like that, and I wish I could unsee it.
Yeah.
And not to turn the show super morbid here, we also lost Matthew Perry over the weekend, and I don't believe, like, I would say I grew up with friends, although I was younger than the people on the show. But it's been it's kind of surreal to think that one of them has passed away, and he passed away in a pretty tragic fashion as well. So
there's some stuff going on about how he passed away. It's a little weird.
I heard it was cardiac arrest in a hot tub. So
No, more so that for like the last 2 weeks, his Instagram posts were kind of this weird, ominous link to Batman, and he would call himself Matman, and it was this weird. He kept showing like the bat signal on his Instagram, and then apparently in the book that he had just recently published, there's a part in it where he says, if I'm ever like about to relapse or if I'm in danger, he thinks about Batman, his favorite superhero comic, right? Calls himself Matman, and that's kind of his like shout for help, more or less. And then for 2 weeks you see Batman all over his Instagram, and the last picture he posted was him in the jacuzzi that he quote unquote drowned in. It's very. I'm not saying he didn't die. Like, I'm not saying it was overdose or anything. I'm just saying it's not. I don't think it's as clean cut as it is.
I bring it up because
a lot of his friends may have missed his cry for help or something. It's very sad.
It's sad, and it's too soon. Like he was 53 or 54 years old, but so many people were raised by that show, directly or indirectly, right? Like a profound and lasting legacy from like the laughs in particular. And I think, again, it's very telling. All laughs on the screen, very few laughs off the screen, especially in the later part of his life. And I think it's again, like I respect a lot of the nonprofit work he did. I respect like as a person, I think he tries to help. He's even famously quoted saying, like, if somebody walks up to me that I know is struggling with substance abuse and asks for help, like, I'll do anything I can because I can relate to that person, right? I think his legacy will endure from the show's perspective and the laughs perspective, but I hope some of his volunteer work and his charitable efforts will too. Like, I hope people remember that and they see him for more than just the funny guy on the show, because he did mean a lot to people. I think there are some of these, it's not about his acting chops, right? It's about the influence that show had on a generation. I know a lot of people try to downplay it, and in hindsight, maybe it was romanticized or whatever, but we grew up with these guys more or less, and he was known as this character that could find light and kind of raise the I don't know, just make people feel better, right? And I see a lot of people, there's a lot of negativity in the world. I know we're not gonna get into what's happening in the Middle East. I think we'll save that for our offline chat, just to share, you and I, but there's so much negativity, so much terrible stuff happening, and he was one of the bright spots just because people respected him from his work on a TV show of all things, right? So yeah,
forget about the Whole 9 Yards. It's a classic movie.
Whole 9 Yards is the Sandler flick, right?
No.
Oh!
Him and Bruce.
I'm thinking of The Longest Yard.
I'm thinking of The Longest Yard.
Whole 9 Yards, Whole 10 Yards. Him and Bruce.
Whole 10 Yards. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, sorry to end it on a downer, boys, but outside of Monday Night Football and the World Series continuing, we got the Ballon d'Or. I know neither of you care about soccer, but we'll see if Lionel Messi or Erling Haaland to come away with the the Professional Footballer of the Year award.
Talking gibberish.
I understand. I'll wait for LP I'll share my thoughts with LP since you both don't care. Any final thoughts as we put a bow on this one? I know we went a little bit long. Stevie, any final thoughts? Any UFC fights we need to keep?
I was just going to say, since you guys don't care, congratulations to Francis Ngannou. Fought one of the most amazing boxing fights I've ever seen, the most successful crossover performance in the history of
I love that
crossover.
you're all in on this, Stevie. I love it. There's a smile on your face when you talk about this stuff.
That's what my 7-year-old loves placing bets on Francis Ngannou. Okay, on FanDuel.
It's kind of young, isn't it, to be exposed to? All right, okay.
Francis Ngannou proved everybody wrong. He did lose by decision, but it was he got robbed. He took Tyson Fury to the distance. So.
Are we ever going to see Logan Paul versus Andrew Tate?
No, you're going to see Logan Paul versus Jake Paul.
I don't know if I care about that one. I want to see Andrew Tate in the ring. I want to see.
Is he allowed to leave Romania?
Just do it in Romania.
No, Logan doesn't want to fight him.
I don't think so either. He's an actual
audience
fighter.
filled with gypsies and pork over there.
Yeah, Andrew Tate will kill him too.
FB, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just really proud of you for looping in a kickball reference when you're talking about World Series. It was a
Slow and baby bouncy. Did I take you back?
Slow and baby bouncy. I did.
Slow and baby bouncy.
I was like, wow.
Yeah. Just helping each other launch the ball over the fence and making the gym teacher go get it. All right, boys. Thank you for your time. The show is DTC, available on all social media platforms and anywhere you get your podcast. Just search DTC or Defeating the Curse. Thank you for hanging out with us. Until next week, we are out. However, if the Skins do make some moves at the trade deadline, I think we will do an emergency pod and get in here to talk about it. So until then, we are out. Thanks again. DTC, anywhere you get your podcast and social media platforms. We're out.